So, this behind the scenes video is long overdue considering that I uploaded the video last December 27th. Ben 10's birthday, by the way. That was like 6 months ago now. If you're somehow still around, then thanks for giving me the time of day. In this video, I'll be explaining how I made that other video in like 5 steps, critiquing my own video, and showing some other cool stuff. So keep watching if you're interested. Basically, what I did was I first went looking for a song to make an animation to go along with. I then drew what I initially wanted it to look like before finally drawing, coloring, and cutting all the final pictures. I then used stop motion to make the animation. The app I recommend would be Stop Motion Studio. I was able to do things like adjust the frame rate and add audio. That's pretty much all I did. In 5 steps, it would pretty much be 1. Storyboard and planning, doing a quick sketch of what you want things to look like. 2. Draw, color, and cut, drawing, coloring, and cutting up pieces of paper to use in stop motion. 3. Camera work. This is taking pictures of everything you just cut to look like the animation. 4. Editing. Editing in all the sound and clipping everything together, adjusting frames. 5. Finishing touches. Pretty much just wrapping up every loose end. That's pretty much all there is to it. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm gonna talk more closely about each step. I don't know what the first step in animation is supposed to be. I could be wrong, but I think I can assume it generally involves some kind of storyboarding and animatics. I need to get the ideas on my mind written down somewhere, so I got a sheet of paper just to scribble things out and place some notes. I drew some scenes I knew for sure I wanted to do, and I just played around with ideas that I would keep or cut out. When deciding which point in the series I was gonna do, I first thought Omniverse because that's what my videos were kind of leading up to, but in the end, I'm a sucker for the classic series. Some ideas I had were to have Ben transform and fight either Kevin or Vilgax, but doing that seemed a little too difficult. I also thought of just animating a Kevin transformation, but that would have also been too complicated. In the end, I wanted to just do Ben transforming into the 5 aliens from Protector of Earth, which seemed to me like a manageable challenge. Music I would consider to be one important aspect because the animation was supposed to line up with the beats of the song, or at least just make the whole scene feel more intense. My first thought was the Kevin boss battle music, which is playing now. I like this track a lot, but I had a problem with animating to it, whether because the action bits were too far in between, or the song just felt like it built up for too long, I don't know. Eventually I changed to the Vilgax boss battle music because the beats were better and it was easier to imagine the stop motion moving with the beats. So with this plan in mind, it starts with Ben showing off the Omnitrix. He yanks it away and brings it back to slam down on the dial. Oh, by the way, I think that's called anticipation, but I'm not sure I did that right exactly. To know more, I would check out the 12 principles of animation. It cuts to forearms from the back and he does a turn and strike a pose, just like his transformation sequence in the show. I then wanted to do a cannonbolt transformation. So the idea was that he would be spinning in the air and uncurl from a ball for a second. Cannonbolt will land, pushing the camera far away, and Ben would transform to accelerate to catch up to the camera, grab the camera, do a spin holding the camera, and strike a pose with the camera looking up at accelerate. He would then transform to Wildvine in the same pose, adjust the camera, turn it into Heat Blast, and punch it. Here are some reference clips I used. The main challenge was to play around with camera angles more. What I didn't do in this step that I think most people would do is have a timing sheet. That would be useful, but I just didn't have the time or patience for it. This step is pretty self-explanatory. You draw, color, and cut. When drawing, I got myself a lot of references. These include reference sheets for Ben and all 5 of his aliens, the Kirby Crackle background, and even Brawlhalla actually for transformations. I also came across videos on how to do rotating animation, 12 principles of animation, and frame-by-frame animation, which is pretty cool if you want to check those out. The amount of frames is something to be considered too, because it determines the amount of unique sprites, so that was something to keep in mind. When I was done, I had about 50 drawings cut out. This step is all about setting up the lighting and frames for the camera. To get the best video, the camera and lighting needs to stay the same to avoid shaky camera movements and fluctuating light. So what I did was take pictures at night, where my room was dark and the only light came from a desk lamp. During the day would be when I would draw, color, and cut. A tool I don't have is a tripod, so instead I have this locker stand I can use to hold up my phone and keep it still. Small paper images are also kind of hard to get into place, so I use tweezers to pick them up and place them into position. Problems that I ran into often was that I had issues with too many pictures in frame to keep track of and pictures being too small. This was a problem with forearms mostly because the idea was to have him flex his upper pair of arms while his second pair of arms grew out underneath, but placing all the pieces kept moving things around. I had the background, and on top of that background I placed the Kirby Crackle background, where I then placed the forearms under arms, where I then placed the forearms body on top, where I then placed forearms top arms on top. All these pieces kept pushing each other when I tried to move one piece, and on top of that, I wanted the camera to pan across the entire thing. It turned out alright, but it was very irritating to do. Animation also has smear frames to emphasize movement, so what I did instead of drawing more pictures was cut little strips of paper to use them for smear frames. This step is done entirely on the programs you use to edit. Not much to say, just edit your video, adjust the frames, add music, add transitions. This is all post-production, I believe. What I use is Stop Motion, Studio, and Splice. They're both free to use and pretty good. I mostly recommend Stop Motion Studio. Splice is okay, but not the best. Also, recently I just found a better app useful for editing, which I use to edit this video, which is InShot. Hashtag not sponsored, but it's by far the most useful free editor if you're able to get it. Save the video and make a thumbnail and it's ready for upload. I'm not the best at thumbnails. Putting the best pictures together in one shot usually does the trick for something cool. It took me about a week of on and off work to do. The first day I storyboarded the entire thing, the next 5 days I spent drawing, coloring, and cutting, and on the night of December 26th and the morning of December 27th, I spent taking pictures and editing. And that's pretty much how I made it. If this was helpful or interesting in any way, let me know. Now I'm gonna start critiquing my own video because there's still areas where I could improve. Ben hitting the Omnitrix is probably the best part of this video because it accidentally turned out really well. I did not expect it to look as well as it did, but that makes me just think that the fade in from black should have been faster, or I should have put in more frames of Ben's Omnitrix just holding there, because it starts off quickly and it barely shows. No one pointed this out, but the Kirby Crackle background here is also colored wrong. To me, the background looked green, but it's actually blue. Something about the red against the blue color to me made it look green to me. The marker I used even said teal on it. I know for sure I had a green marker on hand because I colored the transformation sprite green, and I even tested the markers before using them, so maybe I'm colorblind or something. Oh, by the way, this transformation is reused every time he transforms. When the background breaks apart, it's supposed to resemble the Omnitrix symbol. Maybe it looks like the Omniverse Omnitrix, but I think it didn't hold too long to be noticeable as the original Omnitrix symbol. Cannonbolt was really hard to do here. I wanted it to look like he was rolling in the air, which is why I have his lines cut instead of drawn on. It's so I can move them up and down to show that Cannonbolt is rolling, but it didn't look that way, so I cut that idea. Cannonbolt was supposed to change size, but I just ended up moving him closer to the camera using camera tricks, while keeping the same shape instead of zooming in like I wanted, which worked out better for me since I didn't have to draw as much. I think I could have drawn Accelerate better here. Here he is drawn looking kind of weird to me, and I also drew him kind of too small, but I figured a way around it. I also thought about having him have his mask on here and taking it off later. It would make more sense, which is why I drew a mask piece that was never used. Instead, he ran with no mask, and when he did a turn, he had his mask flipped on. Accelerate Scene also could have also used more frames and drawings to make him look more fluid. I might have lost steam here. In this frame with Wildvine and Heat Blast, you can see the shadow of the locker stand. I didn't notice until after the video was done. At the end here, the fade could be better, it just fades in too slowly. And that's all the stuff I would fix, but otherwise, I really like this video. It has a lot of growth from when it first began. If you've watched, liked, or commented on my video, then thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm amazed at 1,000 likes and 38,000 views. This video got me from 54 subscribers up to 300 within a couple months, and I'm thankful for the kind words in the comments. Oh, also, I got Edbound to react to it at some point in the year.
Protector of Earth, Ben's 15th. Sword in the ground. Ooh, yo, this is so cool! Just gotta make sure it's not copyrighted. Alright. Yo, these paper animations? This is a very clever way to do stop motion, I gotta say. Damn, and these are also really nice illustrations too, I gotta say. The way it's colored, it's very, very pleasing to the eye. This is so cool.
Anyway, this behind the scenes video is about over, so I'm just gonna end it with some edits on the animation since I was messing around with it. Thanks for watching, see you later.
Ooh, yo, this is so cool!